It's the sportsman's paradise of New Zealand on Wild and Raw. The ideal conditions of New Zealand invited the introduction of big game, and beginning a century and a half ago, settlers started bringing red deer from England and Sika deer from their native Japan. And in 1909, Theodore Roosevelt sent the island 20 Rocky Mountain elk.
He's a nice boy. He's got some bad attitude too.
These elk down here are so big. I saw 4 or 5 elk that will score well above 400. I mean, they are so heavy. We came up on this one particular bull that was bedded down, and so David said, let's see how close we can get and see if we can get some good pictures.
That's a huge bull, Scott. Let's go up and see if we can get to that next knoll right there.
We made a sneak on this elk, and I mean, I got within bow range of this thing, and he was probably 420.
Yeah, but that bull is way over 400 inches. Oh, that's the biggest elk I've ever seen in my life. Huge, huge bull. That is the biggest elk I've ever seen.
This is something else right here. Shane and Dave had it set up for us to go shoot possums. Now I'm thinking, what are you guys talking about possums? In my mind, I'm thinking a possum like in North America with the funny tail. I mean, that's not very sporting. Those things aren't fast. Off we go to meet up with Steve, the possum hunter.
It's wild as raw right here, I'm telling you. I got Steve, the possum hunter from New Zealand.
These possums on the road, you're going to have to be pretty quick.
5,000 possums in a year. Steve knows what he's doing. He just doesn't know who's with him. That's the problem.
The brush-tailed possum was introduced to New Zealand in the 19th century to help establish a fur industry, but its numbers have risen far beyond the land's carrying capacity. Its population of 70 million possum are open to unlimited hunting as they consume upwards of 8 million pounds of leaves each and every night. An ecological nightmare.
And we get in the Ranger, and we take off.
Some lead 2s in the old Extrema.
And I mean, we're doing 30 miles an hour in this Ranger. And I mean, he doesn't slow down for anything. And he's got the spotlight. He's going up the tree, up the tree, up the tree, up the... We get about 300 yards down the road, and he's like, there's one. I get a shot off and roll this possum.
Oh my God. Have you ever seen anything like this in your life?
We're hauling down the road, and he goes, there's one on the side of the road, and I just reach out.
That's not even a half-grown one, so we'll get him a lot bigger than that.
They look a little different than our possums. Yeah. Our possums just got a tail with no hair on it.
These things are quick.
Strike him! Strike him, can I go? You on it, Larry?
Right there! It's called a redneck buck.
The only thing this would compare to is some good old southern coon hunters. Yeah. Somebody play me some banjo music!
You haven't seen anything until you've seen the possum plucker. And Steve would put these possums in there, and it would skin these possums. He sells the fur to mix with wool to make wool sweaters. I know some people will think that the possum hunt at night is weird, but if you get the opportunity to do it, it's one of the funnest things you'll ever do in your life.
And a way to control an exotic New Zealand pest numbering 30 million animals. But now it's a non-pest for Wendy Robertson as she hunts red stag. And Scott reflects on the difference between stag and elk.
I mean, one thing I'm learning, there's really not a typical stag. You know, back home, you got an elk, you know, a 6x6 elk. You know, they're all kind of the same, they're just different sizes. Yeah. These stag have like so much character. You know, you got gnarly ones, you got some with crowns, you got curly horns, you got a little of everything. I mean, no two stags seem like they're the same.
Biologists once thought elk and red deer were the same species, but now class them separately. In body size, elk, or wapiti, might be a third larger than red deer, though red deer can grow more complex antlers with multi-pointed crowns at the tops of the beams.
Next thing was to try and find her a stag. Dave's going on down this road.
I was going to go
to the place we call Wendy Point.
They named a point after me, and that is so cool.
Not Wendy Point, Wendy Point. And I decided, no, we'll keep going. I don't really want to go over there. I didn't think that there'd be too much there, but I drove past, and at the last second I thought, I couldn't help myself. I had to go and have a look. We got over there, we sat down for 5 or 10 minutes or so, looking around, glassing.
We were looking at some smaller fallow off the edge, kind of over on the left-hand side.
And that kind of gets our attention, and sure enough, we spot a good stag way down in the bottom of this canyon.
Yeah, this one's down here. He's a big old raspy thing, isn't he?
He was in a group of trees, and there'd be no way that you could really see him from any other direction but up on top of him, because he was really kind of sucked into this brush.
I like that stag. He is really symmetrical. I mean, he really looks pretty.
Let me range him for you.
Okay.
All right, 339 yards. 4 inches below the top of his shoulder.
Wild and Raw is brought to you by Beretta. 500 years, one passion.
We're glassing the bottom of this valley. We see a couple fallow and everything, and that kind of gets our attention. And so we sit in for a minute, we glass, and sure enough, we spot a good stag way down in the bottom of this canyon.
Okay, he's looking like he might want to stand up. If you're comfortable shooting downhill, we just have to get a good rest.
Let me look through the scope on the rifle and see what it looks like. If it looks comfortable for me through the scope. If I can look at him through the scope, I can tell you what I think.
David and I were debating on the range. His rangefinder was showing about 380 yards. My new Burris Eliminator was showing about 340. Well, my Eliminator scope actually calculates for the drop angle or the angle up or down, and so mine was actually showing what the bullet was actually going to shoot like.
Well, the thing about it is, it's downhill. So at 300, you could hold the main crosshairs, and that bullet's not going to drop that much. Let me range him for you.
Okay.
All right, 339 yards. 4 inches below the top of his shoulder, main crosshairs. Take your shot, nice and smooth.
Oh my gosh! Unbelievable! Wow!
Feet fell out from underneath him. He was just...
Oh my gosh, honey, you couldn't have done any better than that right there. Oh man, I am proud of you.
Yeah, oh my God.
Wow, that was incredible.
And as soon as I looked through the scope, I knew I could make the shot. I knew it. There was no question in my mind. I knew he was going down.
If I had any doubt, I would have said, no, let's get closer.
It was exactly what I had in mind for her, which was, a good challenging shot that would be very satisfying to her. And I think the overall experience was wonderful. I think it was exactly what she had hoped for.
I hope he doesn't have any ground shrinkage.
I don't think he will at all.
No, I think you're gonna be happy with him.
Yeah.
There he is. It's a good bull, honey. Honey, that is an awesome bull.
What do you think, David?
Wow. Wow.
I like that he's really just a pretty, nice trophy. I think after I made that shot, I think Scott and I think a lot of the guys are pretty sure that I can do this. I was comfortable with my abilities in the Sako. I'm really comfortable with that piece of equipment. I'm comfortable with the scope. I'm comfortable with the ammunition that I'm shooting. I did not want to come all the way to New Zealand and have that one opportunity and mess it up.
You know what? There's a couple of places that you just can't come back once, and this is one of them. This is a place that once you come here, you're going to be trying to figure out how to get back here. And Wendy and I have had the time of our life. This has been a wonderful hunt. All the people at Alpine Hunting have been great.
A hunter can come here and hunt with us and he can take all the New Zealand species, which is basically 10 species while he's on a hunt here. If you compare any trophy hunt in the US, New Zealand's a real bargain because you get to see some new scenery, you get to meet some great new people, and you get to experience a whole new country and lifestyle.
I think we have got a little piece of paradise down here. People come down here and don't really know what to expect. Once they get here, they don't want to go home.
The countryside is huge and vast, and there's mountains and just canyons and, you know, rock cliff walls and rivers. It's just amazing. This is a beautiful, beautiful place.
I mean, all this pretty New Zealand stuff, you haven't shown me any hobbits yet.
You saw Colin.
Where's the hobbits?
You saw Colin.
Colin's a hobbit.
Colin's a hobbit?
Yeah, he was an extra on Lord of the Rings.
Was he?
As a hobbit.
He's always loved hobbits.
He's always like...
He has a hobbit fetish.
Because I'm disappointed. If I came all the way down here and didn't see a hobbit, I would be disappointed.
You like hobbits? He's always like
Dirty.
small, dirty dudes,
Yeah,
you know.
little smelly dudes.
You know what they say, if you got big feet, you got big feet.
He's scaring me. He's scaring me.